The Nikon Z50 Mark II is a compact vlogging camera packed full of useful features for videographers and photographers alike. And while weighing only 495 grams, this is a perfect travel companion. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to head over that way to a bench to talk more about this camera. I could quite easily do it here, but you know, that's kind of how these things go. You do it in different areas, you know what I mean? Spice it up a bit. So the Z50 Mark II has already been out for a little while now. I think it's been over a month since it was released. So I'm sure that a lot of you are already very aware of some of the specs for this thing, but I'm going to go through those anyway. I do apologise for the noise. I've tried to find a quiet area. I mean, just rude, inconsiderate people, you know, just doing their jobs. I've got a review to do. This is just... Now, much like the Mark I version and the Z30, which I'm actually filming on right now, this is obviously aimed at vloggers and content creators. However, there are a lot of fantastic photographic capabilities of this camera, which I'm probably going to spend the majority of this video focusing on. So let's get through some of the specs and then we'll get out and we'll put this through its paces. First off, we have a 20.9 megapixel DX CMOS sensor, and that's paired with the latest XP7 processor so that we can get sharp, high-resolution images with fast startup times and reliable performance. The camera features advanced autofocus modes and 3D tracking to keep up with fast-moving subjects like animals, people and vehicles, comprising 9 types of intelligent subject recognition. Video specs include the ability to record in oversampled 4K UHD 30p, 4K 60p with a slight crop, or you can record up to 120 frames per second in full HD for slow motion. You can also record in 10-bit N-Log for greater options in post-production, as well as HDR with HLG format for vibrant video. Unfortunately, the Z50 Mark II doesn't have inbuilt image stabilization. However, it does work well with the electronic vibration reduction featured in many of Nikon Z lenses, so that helps for steadier capture. The camera comes equipped with a 3.2-inch vari-angle touchscreen for greater flexibility in awkward shooting situations, an EVF that is twice as bright as the original Z50, and we also get an integrated flash for low light environments. In terms of connections, the Z50 Mark II features Type-C USB for transfer and power delivery charging of the EN-EL25 battery, a Type-D HDMI connector, external stereo microphone input, a headphone and remote cord connector input, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and an accessory shoe. As I've already said, this is very much a vlogging camera, but there are some fantastic photographic capabilities, and we're going to go and test them out now. Hopefully, it's going to be a bit quieter as well. So let's do this. I suppose it helps if I move. Okay, so might as well get a couple of shots of where I was just dwelling before I go. One of the things we got straight away is the film simulations. Now we're in the park at the moment. We've got some wildlife. We've got some geese and swans and birds. So I figure we have a bunch of subject detection modes, so I'm going to use those now. And then we're going to get into something that I'm really looking forward to after that. Oh, we got some birds flying, so let's go, let's do this. Okay, here we go. The Z50 Mark II is capable of high-speed continuous shooting of up to 30 frames per second and features pre-release capture, so that you can be assured to capture the action even if it happened before you released the shutter. This is further aided by advanced autofocus modes and 3D tracking to ensure that you can keep up with fast-moving subjects, as well as 9 types of intelligent subject recognition for people, dogs, cats, birds, cars, motorcycles, bicycles, trains and airplanes. Okay, so we've got a decent bit of wildlife here. So I've been testing out some of the higher shutter speeds. It's also worth pointing out I've got the 18-140 kit lens with it as well, so giving me that extra bit of reach, which is going to be very handy for this today. And let's see if we can get a bit of, well, stuff. The grey skies of my beloved Englandhamshire made it difficult for me to capture higher frame rates without bumping up the ISO considerably, but I was still able to capture usable shots as high as 45,600. The Z50 Mark II goes all the way up to ISO 51,200 and can be expanded up to 204,800, though thankfully I had no need for that today. Right, I think it's time for me to head on. I think any of you out there who have done any wildlife photography know how frustrating it can be to just wait around for something to happen. Nothing does until, of course, you move the camera away and then everybody, you know, all the birds start moving. But I've only got so long with this camera, so I'm going to get out now and use something that I've been really looking forward to. Now, I've been a Nikon user for pretty much 2 decades now. I love Nikon cameras. But something that I've always loved about Fujifilm cameras is their fantastic film simulation modes. And Nikon have started that now with the Z50 Mark II. This camera features a whole host of pre-installed simulation modes for monochrome and all sorts of high contrast looks, etc. There's a bunch of LUTs in there, and also you have the ability to be able to custom make your own and upload them through Nikon Cloud, I believe it is. See, they all start moving now. They know exactly what they're doing. I just set the camera to single frame so that I could go off and start doing my own thing, and very frustrating. Film simulation modes, let's go and see what we can do. Let's go around, Simon. I'm annoyed now, I'm annoyed. So we got the cathedral over there, so I think that's going to be a good choice for some nice monochrome, I think. And what's quite handy, we've got the simulation, film simulation switch here. So we can easily just tap that and then scroll through what we've got on the camera, which is quite nice actually, because you can actually see what you're doing before you actually take the shot. So it's already put onto the image, as well as the video as well. So that's good. Let's take some shots. It's boggy as well. It's insane. Quite like that, quite atmospheric. Let's try a different one. Oh, let's try, we got pink. Okay, that's kind of a more of a sepia type vibe, I guess. Again, so this is deep tone monotone.
The Z50 Mark II gives you easy access to different looks via the new picture control function button. Simply click the button to preview different recipes or filters in real time through the electronic viewfinder or the vari-angle touchscreen. This allows you to instantly see how they affect your photos and videos. Not only that, you can download new recipes directly to your camera via Nikon's Cloud. Another very handy feature of the Z50 Mark II is the integrated flash. And as I found myself in the low lit conditions of the cathedral, I figured here would be as good a place to test it out as anywhere. The flash can be easily raised by simply pushing the lever that's conveniently positioned next to it.
I think something that's worth pointing out in here as well is that both of the lenses that I've used, the 1650 I think it is, and the 18 to 140, these are both kit lenses. So they're not the brightest or sharpest lenses available for sure, but they're doing okay. Yeah, if I had access to some really nice lenses, it would be a different story. And it's also, of course, fully compatible with the FTZ II adapter for all of your older lenses as well. That's what I use, because I've got the Z30 myself, which is not a Z50 II, but there you go.
Speaking of the Z30, one glaring omission from that camera was the lack of an EVF, which is not the case with the Z50 Mark II. Having an EVF makes me feel more like a photographer and allows me to immerse myself in the images that I am capturing. The Z50 Mark II features an EVF that is twice as bright as the original Z50 and is so helpful when it comes to using in harsh sunlight, dark environments or changing light conditions. Not only that, but you can preview how the scene looks with a filter applied so that you can get the exact feel that you are going for. You can also view these different looks via the vari-angle screen, which I'll now use to see if I can get an interesting image.
Okay, try that vari-angle screen, see if we can get an interesting image.
I just said that. The 3.2-inch 1.04 million dot vari-angle touchscreen made it easier for me to get images from a lower perspective, which for a man of my age is always welcome. The back isn't what it used to be. This is also great for taking self-portraits or for ensuring that you are in frame while vlogging. The screen also allows you to navigate through all of the Z50 Mark II's menus and features, making it a great choice for those wishing to upgrade from a smartphone to something more professional.
Okay, I figured seeing as this is a vlogging camera, I might as well actually test out some vlogging. We've got the vibration reduction on, so that should be initializing the lens. I'm using the DJI mic too, plugged directly into it. Now, this 1650 lens is not quite wide enough, unfortunately, for this sort of thing, but it's not terrible, it's not too bad. So it's definitely manageable. I'm actually going to try and get a bit of footage afterwards of some of the wildlife again, see if I can get the tracking going on that, see how it responds to the video side of things. I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'll do some of the slow-mo as well. See, they're still doing the trees. Disrespectful. Trying to film a review here and people just doing their work. Unbelievable.
The Z50 Mark II is capable of recording in oversampled 4K UHD 30p for breathtaking quality, or in 4K 60p with a slight crop for high-speed detail. But you can get up to as high as 120p when filming in full HD. Other useful video features include HDR and HLG formats, 10-bit N-Log for greater control in post-production, and a product review mode that intelligently switches focus between objects and people, making it easy to highlight details.
Well, that's all the time that I've got with this for today, so I'm going to head back to the car now, get myself home, and I will give you a breakdown of my thoughts. It's a pretty impressive camera. Well, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to tell you about it now. It's still noisy. Back home. See ya.
Now, this camera has obviously been designed with vloggers and content creators in mind. However, there is no denying that the Z50 Mark II is a fantastic travel camera that is packed full of fantastic photographic capabilities. As far as the vlogging side of things, it delivers on everything that you would expect it to, but it's the photographic side of this camera that I was not expecting to be so impressed by. An EVF is not something that you often find on a camera of this ilk. However, the inclusion of it was so welcome. I'm one of those people, I really like to be able to view the image through the EVF. It just makes me feel more like a photographer, if that makes me any sense at all. It just helps me envelop myself in the image that much more. The film simulations and the ability to download as well as create new ones yourself and store them in the camera so you can use them at a moment's notice is a very, very worthwhile addition. The ability to be able to view them in real time on the EVF or the touch screen and be able to see the scene in front of you exactly as you intend it to turn out is just such a useful feature. Another very useful feature was that built-in flash, and it actually did a pretty good job, I thought. It's not something that I often use when I'm out and about, but the idea that it's there and ready to go at a moment's notice is it's a good thing. The portability of the camera was great, the weight was barely noticeable, and the grip was substantial enough that I was able to carry it around with me all day and not really feel any discomfort with it at all. I've used other cameras where you've got very little grip on there, and you really do notice that by the end of the day, but not so with this. The tracking and the subject detection was way better than I would have expected for a camera of this sort. It's not exactly what it's designed for, but the fact that you do have that opens up so many more possibilities. The only regret that I have, I wish I bought out my 200 to 500mm with me so that I was able to actually really put it through its paces. I know a lot of people have said that this is kind of similar in specs to the D500, which I actually own myself. In fact, I still have it. I love this camera. It's an amazing camera. But it's really making a noise. If I'd have just thought about taking this out with the 200 to 500, I'm really curious to what it would have delivered, because the subject detection was great, the tracking was fantastic, and the image quality was decent. But unfortunately I didn't have, what was I using, the 18 to 140. It was a decent length, but it wasn't enough for what I needed to put it through its paces. So maybe I'll get a chance to go out with it again and do that, actually do a wildlife shoot with it. That'd be quite interesting. The only downside that I found with this camera was that the battery didn't last as long as I was expecting it to. However, in fairness, I was doing a lot of high burst shooting, and I was also doing a lot of 120 frame per second video shooting as well to really sort of highlight that slow motion footage. So, you know, taking that into account, but having said that, it did get me through the day's shoot. So, but you know, I was a little surprised to see how quickly it went down. Overall, though, I had a lot of fun with this setup. It was compact and lightweight enough that it never felt like a burden. At the same time, it was packed full of so many features that I never felt that it was really lacking anything. If I'd have just thought to bring out some different lenses with me, that would have been a good way to go. But outside of that, I had a great time with it. I definitely feel that the camera is going to be much more of a benefit for content creators and vloggers. However, the extra photographic capabilities that it grants you is not to be sniffed at. I think this is a fantastic camera that anyone is going to get some enjoyment out of. The image quality was great. You've got all sorts of video options for the vlogging side of things, and those film simulations they just added that little bit extra. As I've already said in the video, I've always loved what Fujifilm have done with that side of things. So it's nice to see other companies starting to do their own versions of it, and very useful indeed. I think that's about all I have to say for this video. If you do require any more information, then click the link in the description. Leave a like if you liked, leave a comment if you got something to talk about, and subscribe, as it really does help to boost the channel. Until next time, I'll see you then.